The rise of taxes, the risk of rising taxes, is it real? And why might it be real? Why might Congress at some point say, you know what? We might need a little bit more revenue here. The answer to that lies within the good old-fashioned balance sheet, right? Anybody looked at the balance sheet of your personal business? You probably look at it daily, right? Your personal income, you look at your balance sheet all the time. Money in, money out, let's make sure we're doing okay here. Our country isn't as disciplined at this, especially at the federal level. So I'm gonna look at the balance sheet because they have to publish it. And the numbers can be a little staggering. So what I have here is a document from 2024. It's out of the Congressional Budget Office, and it just looks at the money in, money out, right? How much revenue are we bringing in, and what are the expenditures that we have going out? This is not the fun part of the presentation. Let's take a look though, okay? So total revenue, not bad. We brought in $4.9 trillion of revenue. Have you ever just written a trillion, like written all the numbers? Like that's a lot of money. That's like in 2024, we brought in $4.9 trillion of revenue. And so revenue for our country is what? Taxes, right, income taxes for the majority. The majority of that's income tax, right? But tax revenue, $4.9 trillion. You would think that a country that's bringing in $4.9 trillion of revenue would not have trouble balancing their budget. But we know the story, right? All right, so let's break down our spending. Let's look at it. So first, there is certain spending that happens within our country before Congress even meets. Before they gavel in a law, before they even look at any initiative, there are certain mandatory expenses that have to happen, right? And then actually, the first group represents $4.1 trillion of mandatory spending. Anybody want to think about what goes into that category? Medicare and Social Security. Medicare and Social Security. Those two items alone represent $4.1 trillion of spending for our country. There's a third item that is in addition to that, that is an expense for our country before we even begin to protect it, before we even begin to service our roads, before we do anything else. There is a third item. Anybody else want to guess of what item might exist? $800 trillion on net interest on our debt. Or I'm sorry, 800 billion. Yeah, 0.8 trillion. It's just a couple extra zeros. Right? Thank you for setting me straight on that one. Yeah, so think about that, right? So we have two items, Social Security, Medicare, driving $4.1 trillion of our revenue. And then, oh my gosh, we got to pay off our debt. We got to service that. That's just the interest on our debt. That's 800 billion. So you add those two together, we got a balanced budget. Well, every 2 years. No. So $4.9 trillion. Again, we're balanced. But see, Congress does meet, and they do pass laws. And we do need to defend our country. We need to fund a military, of course. We need to enhance roads. We need to have government programs in place. In the fiscal year 2024, we had $1.9 trillion worth of what I'll call non-discretionary spending. And that's where Congress has met and built a budget and decided how much are we going to spend this year. That was another $1.9 trillion. So, my little math here tells me that the number on that side is a lot higher than the number on that side, and that is why we are living and operating really as a deficit spending country. There's this one is a little more accurate here. $1.88 trillion is the exact number of additional spending that we had as a country above and beyond the revenue that we brought in. And that is why the national debt continues to escalate, and we are marching towards a $40 trillion national debt. So I ask, like when we're like things that keep me up at night, and things that could go wrong, and emerging risks to our retirement portfolio. Obviously, the market is there, and so if we're going to build plans, we need to incorporate market, asset allocation models to represent market risk, and we need to have tools in place to take care of our income planning needs. But the fact that our country has this type of balance sheet, do you think there's a time where at some point, you know what, we might need to generate a little bit more revenue? Yeah. So let's talk about this a little bit more. Where can we facilitate change in this? Where could we facilitate change? So 4.1 trillion. Remember, what did we say that represented spending? Social Security, Medicare. All right, so that is a math problem, right? Because our population, we have more people retiring today than we ever have in the history of our country. That's just that's not changing, right? Like those are demographics. Those are set in place. That's not changing. Okay, so we can't facilitate change in that one. What about net interest on the debt? What are the two factors that dictate how much interest we have to pay on our debt? One is how much debt that we have, and the second is what the interest rates are at that point. Right. Interest rates have normalized a little bit here. And so we're paying a little bit more on interest than we were 5 years ago for sure, right? But the challenge here is even if interest rates were zero, that number is still going up. Why? Because we keep adding to it, right? Like it's almost like having an interest-only mortgage, right? Like we're not taking care of the problem. In fact, it's like we got an interest-only mortgage and we're adding to the house. And we're adding to the house, and so the number's going up, up, up. So that 800 billion, 0.8 trillion, is a number that we can't really facilitate change there. So, hey, I got the idea. I got it. Here's the idea. Oh, wait. Before I reveal the solution, let's talk more about 800 trillion. That number is alarming in two ways. One, it's just getting out of control. We look at the line items on what we're spending money on as a country. Did you all realize that in 2024, we spent more money on interest serving our debt than we did defending our country? The budget for our military is less than our budget for servicing the debt. That is a growing concern. But there are solutions. Hey, I got a great idea. Maybe we can just have Congress spend less. Let's not hold our breath, right? All right, that's just not the behavior of Congress these days. So if we need to facilitate change and we can't do anything about Social Security and Medicare, we can't do anything about the $800 billion and growing service to our debt, and we know Congress is going to continue to spend money, where can we facilitate change?
Tax cuts.
Oh, well, wait, we'll get to that. Yeah. Wait, we kind of went the wrong direction on that, but that's okay. Yeah. We're eventually, at some point, if we are treating this like a real math problem that we need to solve in the real world, where does that change come? Probably here on the revenue side.